Sorry it took so long.
No worries, man.
Busy.
Let's make it official.
I know.
This is Hot Mike.
All right.
Welcome, Bryan.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
This
Thanks
is
for
great.
having me.
Bryan Thomsen
Yeah.
in the house. Your knowledge of movies is staggering, and it's effortless. I can tell that it's just a passion for you.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel like I don't know movies at all.
That's not true. As I was just telling you, listening to you and Jesse, it was like there's this whole realm of films that I have no idea. Like it sounded like you were speaking French, like Will, and I was like, "What are they? Who? You know, the devil in South Park?" And I was like, "What are they talking about? Who is it?" And I was like, I think I do remember.
Oh,
I do remember
Legend,
parts of it. Yeah, from Legend. It was what's his name from Clue and Annie and Tim Curry or whatever. I was like, I do kind of remember that because I had like one relative that had HBO. So it was like when you'd get there, you would get like a fire hose of you just sit and watch. At that point, it was like Time Bandits, and you know, and these movies are just playing. You'd just sit there all day with your cousins and watch them because you didn't have to go to a theater. It was this amazing thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember Legend, and I was like, I didn't get it, you know. But I remember Tim Curry was scary as hell. Kind of like the devil guy in Time Bandits, actually, too. They're kind of similar. But
I love that you brought up Clue.
Yeah.
Because when I think of Tim Curry, that is his movie.
Yeah.
And he's so good in that.
He's super underrated because I love him in Annie, too. He's just like, he's such a chameleon kind of guy, you know, like, like he'll see him and something like, how do I know this? I know this. Oh, it's Tim Curry. Holy cow. Yeah, it's, oh my gosh. Especially like before he kind of blew up size-wise, you know, he could really disguise himself in a role, it felt like, you know.
Love him in Hunt for Red October.
Yeah,
he's a great
that's
supporting
right.
character.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that part where he's kind of explaining the obvious to Sean Connery about the point of having two keys, sir.
He's a great a-hole, you know, like he's really lovable a-hole kind of, But even, you know, like in like Andy, he was such a bad guy. Like who steals little girls and stuff? You're like, yeah, but great dancing, you know. Really good job, yeah. Him and Bernadette Peters are just superb at being kidnappers, you know, But.
Well, before we got started, we were talking about Wyatt Earp, Kevin Costner film, and Tombstone. You were giving a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
Let's get that on the pod.
Okay.
So Wyatt Earp was in production first.
Right. And it was kind of, this is what I remember reading about it, was that it was a bigger production, and Kevin Costner was kind of a bigger name at that point than Jeff Bridges, and he had Gene Hackman, and he had Tom Sizemore, like pretty, you know, good cast, and it was supposed to, it was longer, it was more, kind of more of an epic or whatever, like he had done with, you know, Waterworld and Dances with Wolves and stuff. So I think it's over like 3 hours long, isn't it?
It's a long one.
Yeah, it's
and the
tough.
first act is when he's a young man.
Yeah, with Gene Hackman, it's
that one's
bizarre.
And Costner's wearing these weird wigs.
Yeah. It's weird when like 45-year-old guys try to look 16. You know, like there's a cutoff, like 24-ish.
You gotta cast.
And don't put a weird wig. Just wear your, like, he has hair. Take it for, you know, we should know. You know, I look at people's hair a lot, you know, but whatever. But yeah, so anyway, he was kind of like trying to sabotage this Tombstone movie because it was a similar subject or whatever. And then what ended up happening was, as you've seen both, I think Tombstone is a way superior film. I mean, way better. And it just blew it away, and the, you know, Wyatt Earp tanked basically.
It did.
But yeah,
I do think Kevin Costner played a great Wyatt Earp though.
I like him in everything.
Yeah,
you know, I love
fan.
Yellowstone. There's no reason I should like that show at all. There's zero reason. And I watched one episode as a favor for a friend of mine, and I watched 3 seasons, all 3 seasons in like less than 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I have heard nothing but good things. I can't wait to start it. How are you watching it?
It was on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Yeah, just wait till the 4th season comes out.
Did you rent it? Did you buy it?
No, it's free.
It was just streaming.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe it was Peacock actually.
Okay. Did you pay for Peacock? Is that?
It comes with my internet, so it's like the stepchild of streaming. You know, where you're like, what is Peacock? What is that? What's Tubi? You know,
there's so many of these.
Hey, I really want to watch The Conversation. It's on Pluto.
Well,
I don't know what that is. Yeah, I was like, is this going to cost me more money? You know, like, I think I have enough. You think with the 4 like big ones, you could have everything with them. Every now and then, you're just like, man, I'm really in the mood to watch blah blah blah, and it's on Tubi. Like, but whatever. Yeah, we're so spoiled now. Like, I hear you guys talking about like when you were a kid, you just watched the same movie over and over. And I was like, you would get free Showtime for a weekend and just tape every movie, and that's what you had for the summer to get through. Whether it's Commando or Breakfast Club, it might be, you know, this crazy movie with Nick Nolte and Martin Short where they like the bank heist, or, you know, whatever. But it was like, it's such a horrible movie, and I've watched it like 40 times because that's all you had, you know, like. But yeah, we're just spoiled now. You know, like, oh, nothing's on. You've literally millions of things to watch.
Oh, totally.
And nothing.
Well, I think maybe that is you get like this decision fatigue where you're like, there's too much choice. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like walking into the cereal aisle in the grocery store, and you're just like, why are there so many choices here? I can't decide.
Well, and the other analogy I was thinking of is you go to the video store when you were younger, and you just like, you know, there's thousands of titles there, and you just like hem and haw over one or the other, and one friend had seen, it's like, who cares? Just get something, you know, like there's something that's here that you're gonna want to watch. But yeah, it's just if you have too many choices, you know.
I rented the same movie so many times.
Yeah.
Where my parents were just like, again.
Was
again,
it Ferris
Willow,
Bueller's Day Off?
Again?
Oh, it was Willow?
It was probably.
And then you finally stole a couple copies?
Yeah, I did. Willow. Another one was Star Wars Ewoks Battle of Endor.
Awesome.
Do you know that one?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
It's got,
I know it, though.
Yeah, it's got Wilford Brimley in it. He's great.
Diabetes.
But, I mean, you go back to it. It's, I mean, pretty objectively bad.
Right.
But
it's no Christmas special. It's better than the Christmas special with B. Arthur.
Yeah. Oh my God, that one.
That's my favorite B. Arthur movie, though. So
yeah,
because I can't think of another one. But
were you a Star Wars kid growing up? Yeah.
I had the like Darth Vader carrying case with. I had the toys before I'd ever seen a movie.
Wow.
So my cousin had a laser disc, right? Yeah. I'd never heard of this. This was pre-VHS. So Star Wars came out in 1977. This was probably 1980. Okay. And like we talk about watching the same movies. He had 3 laser discs, and it was Star Wars, Muppets Take Manhattan, and Grease. Oh, okay. I can recite Grease front to back. I mean, it's like we would just watch these movies. Same with Star Wars. That's all of us, though. But I mean, it's so vague, or it's not vague. It's so burned into my memory, sitting in the basement and watching, you know, all these guys run up to the door, and I was like, what are they, you know, what's going on? And then it's the fire, and then the whole door blasts open. But when when Darth Vader blasts through the door, I was like, I mean, just chills. Goosebumps. Yeah, I was like, this is, and it's funny because I just paid money to watch it last week for, I don't know how many times I've watched Star Wars, but I paid the $3 on Amazon to watch it, and I'm like, this is still a great movie. It's 44 years old, and it's still like, some of the stuff's cheesy, but overall, like, man, it's such a great story, and it's just gets you wound up with the music, and it's very fanfare-ish, and like Pirates, which is I think what they were kind of basing it on, and Flash Gordon and stuff like that. It was like Flash Gordon and like Robin Hood type stuff. But you know, and it's the same when you watch these old, you know, Buccaneer movies. You know, it's like, you know, you're like, it just winds you up, like
super energized.
Well, it's John Williams too, so it's like I'll sit at home and be like, Echo, play John Williams, and it's like every song you're like, oh, Superman, yes, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, or you know, like Jaws, skip it, you know, like that doesn't get me fired up, but you just like, it's such a big part of those movies, you know.
Does it bug you that now the only thing that is available are those special editions, like the tampered with versions?
Yeah, with like the CGI, but most of the time I don't notice it. You know, in Star Wars, it's you bring that up. I was watching it, there's that little interaction with Jabba before they leave Tatooine or whatever, and I was like,
like, why?
Kind of annoying, you know. But
there's a reason this was not in the first one.
Yeah, and then, you know, like E.T., they took all the guns out. It's like, you know, I don't think E.T.
they
ruined
put radios in their hands.
What
the hell?
Yeah, Peter Coyote deserves to have a gun in his hand in every movie, I think. You know, like, he just looks like a guy that wants to follow stuff up, even though I don't think he had a gun. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean.
That's why I think these are so special, where they?
Yeah.
Because these were the last released that weren't special edition.
Was that right before 99 or something like that? Where they did
these were 95.
Okay.
So I got those, when I was 10, Christmas morning.
Man, such a great collection. The Outsiders, that's another movie I've seen, I bet, 60 times. I mean, that. One of the only books I've read more than once, too. Like, it's such a good
Matt
good
Dillon is so cool in that. As Dallas.
Everybody's cool.
Everyone's so cool.
I mean, Emilio Estevez is cool, and he's wearing a sleeveless Mickey Mouse shirt eating chocolate cake with Budweiser. You know, like
it's so great.
You know, it's just like I used to watch that movie every single day. Yeah, beer for breakfast, 2-bit, and you know, he sits down and woohoo, Mickey, and he's all excited because it's like 10 a.m. drinking Budweiser and eating an entire chocolate cake.
It's amazing.
burned into my red. By the way, that house that was filmed in sold for like $5,000 like 8 years ago.
After the what?
Yes.
Really?
And I saw that, I was like, I would have paid $5,000 to own that house.
For sure.
But I think like
where was it?
It's in Tulsa.
Okay.
It was all filmed, and like the fountain where he kills Leif Garrett, it was like 3 blocks away. Like all the filming locations were around Tulsa, which I've never been to.
I couldn't believe that was Leif Garrett. Like I
didn't even know who Leif Garrett
was.
It
wasn't
wasn't
until years later that I'm like scrolling through the cast, and I was like, wait, Leif Garrett?
Yeah.
Like the musician, the singer? Yeah.
I didn't even know who that was until I was like 20.
He played a good Soch.
Yeah. Well, they had like a behind the music with him talking about him getting in a car wreck and his buddy was put in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh, I sort of remember Leif Garrett from like Skating USA type stuff or like at the end of Chips. They'd have a, roller derby.
Yeah.
And it'd be like Todd Bridges and Leif Garrett were there. And you're just like, what is it? Like what they would just, they used to try to combine these networks or all the stars and put them in one show to get ratings. Like they'd have Battle of the Network stars too, where these like A-list celebrities, I guess, would come together like Linda Carter and Robert Conrad and who's the guy that played Mr. Cotter, Gabe Kaplan, and they're out there running 100-yard dashes and stuff like that. Like it's just. It's silly to think of now, trying to see like, Mark Harmon, pole vaulting or something. Like they used to, they used to get away with all this stuff. But yeah, so Leif Garrett, I didn't even know who that was. I knew who everybody else was in the movie because, like I said, it's one of my favorites. But,
Diane Lane, fantastic.
Yeah, and then her friend.
Who was her friend?
Well, she was in Real Genius too. She was the love interest of Mitch, the super Adderall addicted.
Okay.
Yeah, she was only in like 4 movies, which is weird because she's really pretty and good character. I think was she in Revenge of the Nerds too? Maybe. I don't know.
I'd have to see her, but
yeah, she had a really short haircut in Real Genius.
Okay.
Real Genius, right?
Yeah.
With Val Kilmer.
With Val.
Yeah,
yeah.
And she, I think that's her. I'm almost positive, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened to her, but I always liked her a lot. So
what was Tom Cruise's character's name in Outsiders?
Well, it was Steve Randall. Steve Randall and Soda Pop worked at the DX station.
That's right.
Yeah. God, just you could never put a cast like that together of like the risingest of risingest stars. Tom Waits is in it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. He plays
That's
Buck.
So cool.
Yeah. It's like,
oh, I forgot about that, man. I gotta go back.
Dad's sleeping. Can you wake him up? Tell him it's Pony Boy. Yeah, well, he'll come. Yeah, it's just like every scene of that movie is burned into my brain,
Yeah.
Just from watching it so many times and enjoying it. But yeah, Coppola makes a good movie. Weird, right? If you ever, I don't know what version you have, but there's a Coppola version of it where it actually starts out where he gets jumped leaving the movie theater, and the characters are kind of introduced one by one.
Okay.
He's like, there's my brother Soda, and they're like laughing because they chase off the Soda. When he's in the beginning of the book, he's like, I left the darkness of the movie theater into the bright sunlight. Yeah. And then there's another part where in the books Soda runs away.
Yeah.
Because he's tired of the fight. Kind of a wine fest, but whatever. That's in the Coppola version.
So is this like a director's cut?
Yeah, basically. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I must have the theatrical cut.
I don't know.
I think it's because I don't. Those aren't familiar.
Yeah. I saw it on TV. On television, they had like the Coppola version.
Okay.
But I never saw it on VHS. That's for sure.
There's a great still, that cast of the Greasers.
Yeah.
Was so perfect and so iconic. Like when they've got the still photos of them.
Yeah.
All like posing.
And then they're like joking in the cover. It's the
Yeah.
one you have.
Do you see it
where
up
they're
there?
laughing? I saw it. That's what made me think of it. Yeah, it's right between Legend. I know you know where that is. And they're laughing, and they were talking about somebody had made a joke about, I think, Leif Garrett, because he came in to get some food or something, and they were like, hey, that's for the real actors or something. And then they all laughed and took that picture.
Oh, for real?
Weird, yeah.
That's cool. There's one where they're outside.
I'm so excited looking at this.
Like in the front yard.
Okay.
And if you go wide, like you can find rare photos of that shot before it was cropped by like the marketing team.
Oh, really?
And you can see that Patrick Swayze is standing on a brick. He's because he had to be taller than everybody.
I believe it. I totally believe it.
I'm actually not mad at that at all because you're the older brother. Like you've gotta. Everybody looks up to you.
Right. But I mean,
what was his name?
That in, was Derry.
And
then Dally was Matt Dillon. It's not loaded. Yeah, just like
do for Johnny.
Yeah, and so the nurse that was in there is S.E. Hinton. the author of the book.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's like, get out of here. He's all cocky and shit.
That's who he's saying it to,
yeah,
the author?
He's like, I can't put up with this or whatever. And well, yeah, get out of here. And he throws a pillow, he's like, how's Johnny doing, man? Yeah, it's like, it seems like when you're a kid, I even thought it was like overacting, but now I love it. Like,
I love it too.
And he got that knife and he just kind of leans back. Like, yeah, sometimes you got to stab a bed when your buddy's burned, like, what else are you going to do?
Poor Johnny.
Man, but
Ralph Macchio,
Karate Kid.
Yeah, he had some bangers in the day.
Yeah, I even like
Karate
Crossroads
Kid.
Was good.
Which one?
Crossroads is the blues guitar one with Steve
I've heard
Vai.
of this.
Yeah,
is that good?
It's I don't know. That might just be like a certain movie that.
But I love him in My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, great! Yeah,
great movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm. He had like a really big 2 years between like Karate Kid and then he did Crossroads and he did. It's like he just did like these weird films that you'd never heard from, and then also he popped back up.
Do you think he made some choices that kind of hurt his trajectory in his career?
I think he kind of couldn't play kids anymore, and he had that. I mean, even now, he's like almost 60, and you watch Cobra Kai or whatever the show on Netflix, and it's like, this guy still looks good for his age. Like he looks young. Mm-hmm. I mean, Willie Zabka looks actually even younger, I think, like Johnny, but. Yeah, I don't know. He always had those roles as like teenagers when he was like 22, 23. He was in that movie where what's the disease that you get when you age like 7 times faster?
Oh,
algophobia or something like that.
Yeah,
and he plays a kid that looks like a 90-year-old man.
Oh no!
And it was like when you're a kid, how you fear stupid shit like quicksand and stuff like
totally.
And I was like,
there's a Robin
I hope
Williams
I never
movie.
Get that movie.
Jack. Something. I remember seeing Jack and I was horrified.
He's like, oh my god!
I was like, Mom, is this gonna happen?
Yeah,
to me?
I just gotta make it to 25, man. that'll be enough. Like you make these deals in your head. Yeah, it's just like. Yeah, it's like, man, that was 30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
But
Rob Lowe in a similar way, where he was killing it for this window of time.
Sex tape release. That's why. But then he came back with Wayne's World.
Yes.
And then and he did.
That's a good point.
He played a young Robert Wagner that was unbelievable in. I don't remember which Austin Power movie, but he had the whole that Robert Wagner kind of killed Natalie Wood. Screw you, like everybody knows, but. Yeah, and Rob Lowe, he's hilarious. I never knew he was that funny, like in Parks and Rec, he kills it. I mean, he's just a really comedic. Tommy Boy's
great. He's fantastic.
So good, yeah.
I forgot about Wayne's World. Tommy Boy in Wayne's World, he plays such a good prick.
Yeah. I think, and I had read something because I think he was golfing with Mike Myers, and they were talking about Mike Myers had worked with Robert Wagner, and Rob Lowe blew out this impersonation of him. He's like, I got to write this in, and time travel and whatever, but pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, he looks like him too. They both look almost exactly the same, but
totally.
Yeah,
it's the perfect young version.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you've told me that you grew up as a latchkey kid.
Yeah, definitely. And my mom hates when I say that to people. You
like,
were not. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah. Well, my dad.
You'd run out to the movies.
Yeah. Well, we got this flyer every day. The movie was only $2 in our town up until it went out of business like 8 years ago.
Oh, I think it went up
to $3. Okay. Yeah. But it was like I remember like getting change, trying to peek because I was like I knew how much a popcorn was, and that was part of the deal. Like I had to have. I wasn't gonna just go there. I wanted the full experience, and to this day, it's still the same. I remember once I got wasabi peas, and I went to a movie, and I was like, this is unbearable. Like I was trying to watch what I ate or something, and I was like, I'm never doing that. If I go to a movie, I'm getting the biggest popcorn they have, and I'm getting the biggest soda, and it's just like, when I before I moved out here, when I lived in Minneapolis, there were so many options between independent independent theaters and big. I'd go to 3, sometimes 4 movies a week. If I had some time to kill, I'd walk over to the movie theater and by my house, and and then came out here and it went down a little more because I got more and more sick of people talking and cell phones, and it just ruins it, and
I fully agree. Like it truly ruins the experience for me.
Yeah.
I know we've talked a little bit about the remake of True Grit. The Bridges.
The Coen brothers one.
The Coen brothers, fantastic film.
Such
Absolutely
a great movie.
Love that.
Yep.
The first time I saw it was in a theater in Steamboat Springs, and there were 2 girls on their cell phone right next to, like, my dad and I went and saw it together, and they're texting the whole time. It really affected it to the point where I didn't like the movie as much as I may have. And I went back to it like a year or two later. I was like, this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's a better version. I think John Wayne is still a better Rooster Cogburn.
Yeah.
Because it's John. I mean, but Jeff Bridges did a great job. And
version.
Everybody else in every other role.
Yeah.
Almost every other role.
Josh Brolin's character.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Such a better cast.
And Matt Damon is a far superior actor to Glenn Campbell.
Agreed.
Any day. Yeah. I mean, it's not even close. You know, like the Glenn Campbell's so corny, and I love Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Singing.
He is a cornball.
And guitar playing, not.
Yeah, he had that. Acting,
speaking of Playmobil, he had like Playmobil hair. You remember the original? He had that big like shell of combed over hair, and he shouldn't act. Well, I mean, he's not around anymore, but
and even the young lady, that Maddie Ross, that she's fantastic. I think she's killing it now. She's got her own show, the Emily Dickinson show.
Yeah, she kind of came out of nowhere because I saw that I was living in Seattle. Talk about seeing a lot of movies. I lived there for 9 weeks. I bet I saw, 40 movies. Like, I went to the movies so much because I hated living there.
Oh.
I didn't have a job for like 7 weeks.
Okay.
So I'd be like, well, might as well go to the movies. And there was this really cool theater right by the University of Washington there. And it had like the big like rotunda inside, and like, it's kind of run down, but it was awesome. It was smelly, but it was, a lot of lights inside and drapes, and and I remember right when I moved there, like the second day, I went and saw like Nowhere Man, the one about John Lennon, and it was fine. Okay. But I was like, I might like it. Yeah, this is a good spot. Well, turns out I didn't. But great theaters, you have to. It rains every day. I'm sure they're, a huge moneymaker. You have to have good movie theaters.
How long were you there for?
9 weeks. I got there October 25th, and I came back New Year's Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couldn't hang.
No, just.
Was there any part of it that you liked?
The beer was delicious.
Good beers.
The food was good.
Good food.
And
good seafood.
The 5 days it was sunny. It's the most beautiful city in America, I think. Because it has everything. It's got great Asian food, like banh mi sandwiches. It's got great pho, whatever. I'd never had that before, and that was like a staple out there. Like nice. It's just that's what you crave when it's raining all the time, But yeah, I'd like to go back and visit, but I don't think you could pay me enough to live out there. I don't get it,
Yeah.
And
it's too much rain, man.
Great.
It's a temperate rainforest.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It was, and it's like an entire city of one-uppers. It was the worst. Like I've never been one-up that bad. Like every day, every scenario. Just wait for you to stop talking, and they could tell you how much better they were at whatever you were just talking. Yeah. It was just annoying. Like people talking about.
Oh, that's a terrible.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, and everybody, it was just like.
I've had friends like that where we just didn't stay friends.
Right.
It was like competitive storytelling, and they would even preface whatever they were going to say with something like, "Oh, I got that story beat." I'm like, wasn't competing with you.
What an a-hole thing. Yeah. You think that's good? Well, I mean, it's just having a conversation, but and then they try to crush you with the same story you've heard for 20 years. Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, I hear you. This is delicious, by the way.
Good.
I don't remember loving Ranger that much before, but
yeah, this is the Imperial IPA. Packs a wallop.
Oh, does it? Now you tell me. Cool. I took one of these stickers.
Cool, man.
Vanessa gave me one too.
Yeah, first edition of the stickers.
It's got a very Drive logo to it. That's Ryan Gosling movie with the had all the synth music, and which also reminds me of your intro music. Like from Kazmat or whatever, the Night Moves or whatever, and Real Hero. Like the soundtrack to that movie is so good. But
totally, when
I went and saw it, it was funny because I had no idea what it was about. It was like almost independent. It was so under the radar. I'm like, Ryan Gosling, he's good. And it had Bryan Cranston and Ron Perlman. I'm like, this might be good. And I went in, and I was hooked from the first. Like, he's helping those 3 guys escape, and gets to the forum.
The first 12 minutes,
it's so
are incredible.
You're sweating.
It's some of the best just visual storytelling and action.
It really is. Yeah, with the he had the police scanner on at the same time he's listening. It's just like it's so beautiful. It's filmed so well that it just. You're just like, I would drive. I would take off right now, and he's just very cool about it. And but I went and saw that movie, and I got done. I was like, I got up, and I remember I was scratching. I was like, wow, that was so good. Albert Brooks is a villain. When he and these 3 kids behind me, they were like 22, and they're like, well, that sucked, because I'm sure they thought it was going to be like Fast and Furious or something. But
probably
when Albert Brooks kills Bryan Cranston, I was unnerved. Yeah. It's over.
It's over.
Like, you're waiting for a joke, and it's just, It's like watching Jason Bateman in Ozarks. You know, like I was trying to watch that show and I'd be like,
oh, that wasn't a joke.
I'm just so used to he's always like a wisecracker kind of, that same character. It's
I think they marketed it to that crowd who wanted Fast and the Furious. Like I think the trailers that were coming out. Yeah. Because I had another friend who was like, "Oh, don't see it. There's barely any action." I'm like, "Okay, but is it good?"
It's all in here though. Yeah. All the action is like the suspense and the it's her husband gonna come, who's Oscar Isaac, who I had no idea who that was back then. I just thought he was some dude,
That might be the first project I ever saw him in.
Yeah, and it had the very endowed woman from Mad Men.
That's right, Hendrickson,
Christy Hendricks or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but I didn't even recognize her in the movie. I watched the whole thing, and then you get home and you're like, who? Check it all out, and it's like Christina Hendricks. Yeah,
Christina. Yeah,
and she gets wasted in the motel room, and I was just like, I love that movie from beginning to end.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah,
I'm
every
obsessed
second.
With that.
Same with the Place Between the Pines. I thought, or Beyond the Pines.
Great. Place Beyond the Pines. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was surprising how little Ryan Gosling was actually in it. Totally. It was just weird. Like. They play. I felt like I was tricked, but it had that Australian guy from Rogue One.
Oh my God, he's great. Ben Mendelsohn.
Everything that guy is in, he steals every scene he's in. Every single one.
It's fantastic.
He's so good. Love him.
Killing Them Softly.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's just repulsive in that.
I was so excited to see that movie when it came out because I think Brad Pitt's a good actor. I think there was a great cast. And you want me to grab you one?
I'm gonna have I'll do a bourbon. Yeah.
Okay. And I remember I tried watching. I fell asleep. I was like, because it's got Richard Jenkins, who is a very underrated actor. Yeah.
He's great. He's basically the mafia counselor.
He's just like so sheepy. Is that
really? It's murder and they're squeamish.
Is that the best way you think you want to do this? And Brad's like, yeah, that's what we have. Like, what? You're like a consigliere for a gangster organization, and you're like getting you're trying to like soft shoe all this stuff. But yeah. He was great, yeah.
I like that in that movie you see so much of the business side of organized crime.
Yeah.
Where I bet there's people who came out of that movie thinking like, God, that was so boring. It was like I was fascinated by the dialogue.
Yeah.
Where they're negotiating and he's like try and get him down to 10. 15, asshole. 15, fly him in, have a party, fly out. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. It's
Gandolfini, it's one of his last roles, and geez, the character he plays, it's like, well, there's no mystery.
Man, that was a sad loss for the film industry because he was
devastating,
so great and everything. You go back now and watch even like The Drop because I watched that because
with Tom Hardy.
I was like, I made a decision once I watched Bronson. I was like, I'm watching everything this guy's in. Yeah. It's my favorite Batman villain. Are you afraid? No, like I'm not afraid of Heath Ledger. I wasn't afraid. Liam Neeson. He gave me chills. Like when the guy's like, "This is what we do," because I'm in charge.
Speaking of Ben Mendelsohn, that scene that he has with Bane when he puts his hand right on his shoulder.
Oh
yeah.
He's
like, "Do you feel in charge?"
It's so like. By the way, you do a way better Bane impersonation than I do. Yeah, it was so great, and he seems like Tom Hardy's not a big dude.
Darkness is your ally.
Yeah, I think it's such a better role. Like it was. Yeah. I think he was so much better than Heath Ledger. I don't know. The Joker was good, but the whole like just like started to get old. Yeah. I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is way better. That movie, that's the best movie I saw that year. Hands down.
That took me far too long to see it. But people were talking about how some of the scenes were so disturbing or whatever. And for some reason, absolutely. I completely see that now. But it made me keep it kind of at an arm's length. Yeah. It took me way too long to see it. It's one of those movies. As soon as it was over, I wanted to restart.
Yeah, exactly. I saw it in the theater, and I was like, "Oh man, I want to watch this again." Like, there's so much I think I missed, you know. But it was like De Niro was so great, and it's so funny because he was in that Scorsese film where he kidnaps Jerry Lewis with Sandra Bernhardt and
comedian King of Comedy.
King of Comedy, which is one of my favorite Scorsese films ever. And I was like, more people need to see that. Everybody talks about Raging Bull, great movie. Watched it like 5 days ago.
Yeah, King of Comedy. What is the After Hours?
Well, he did. Yeah, but he did
comedy. He did
between that and he did Mean Streets, which is might be my favorite Scorsese movie ever. Like I just love that movie, and it sets a precedent. You see stuff in that movie. the music and stuff that you see in like the sweeping. Hey, that's my buddy Val, and that's when they do the same thing in Goodfellas. Like, it's Tommy Two Chins. That's blah blah blah. Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I took care of that thing for you. Like
it's like Goodfellas, but for like low level.
Sure.
Like
low budget,
like low budget. But these aren't like
they're ripping off kids for fireworks, stuff like that. And then the one guy's got the tiger in his.
Because these aren't lenses; these are adapters.
But the
you bought Jap adapters.
I mean, that's great. It's like you knew he grew up in that neighborhood, and he's got such a good ear for music. Like his music is great in his movies.
That "Be My Baby" song at the beginning.
Yes,
that just, I mean. That makes you feel things. You're just like, oh my, and you're seeing the old black and white, like the 8mm.
Yeah,
that is
the music,
phenomenal film.
Like in Color of Money makes the movie it is a below average movie, I think. But there's so many cool scenes with the music that I love. Like when he's doing the Warren Zevon.
Oh,
his hair
that's what I was
perfect. I never heard that song when it came out. I was like 10 when that movie came out. And I was like, that's the coolest song ever. And like
such a great scene.
Yeah, it's so great. It's Doom.
That's how
Doom got its name. I watched it.
You saw that too. Okay,
I watched that documentary.
I guess
twice.
That's now becoming a common knowledge.
Yeah, on Netflix though. You watched
I think
it?
so.
Yeah,
I was actually forgetting where I got that from.
Yep.
But that blows my mind that like when they were saying that they were like, "Where's the title come from?" Oh, it's actually a reference from Color of Money. I was like,
I immediately knew.
No way.
He's got the Balabusha.
He's like, "What's that?" He's like,
"What's this?"
Doom.
What you got in there, white boy?
So you think it's kind of an average film as far as a Scorsese picture, but this.
I mean, he sets the bar so high.
Or the soundtrack just kind of.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack to that movie. Like
I do love that movie.
If you
John Turturro's so great.
Yeah, and the guy that creepy silk shirt, who's like a real pool player, and he was like one of the technical advisors there. Hey, go ahead, have your jollies. When he comes back and whips his ass in Atlantic City. He's just like. Take a shot. Take me down. That's a real guy. That's a real pool player. Yeah.
Oh, Grady Seasons.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Nice.
Advantage. Hollywood.
Was that his? Is that his real name? Like it's.
I don't know.
Is that a character?
I don't know a lot about the pool. Yeah, I remember there was a really smoking hot Asian girl named the Black Widow, and if she was on ESPN2 or whatever, you'd be like, oh, this is. I'd be like 9. She's really pretty, but I have no interest in pool. I like playing it, but watching it, there's zero chance, Yeah. But that's a great movie. But I think the music really had a lot more to do with it than, I mean, it's also a sequel, which is weird,
It is.
And like, The Hustler.
How many years later? 20 years later?
If I had to guess, I'd say 31.
30 years later?
I think The Hustler was like 55, maybe,
wow.
or was it 60s?
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Fast Eddie Felsen.
Fun fact. The guy, I'm trying to just remember real quick. Like I said, I just watched this. But the guy from Raging Bull, the real boxer.
Wow. I'm forgetting his name.
I'm just like thinking Rocky Marciano. That's not it. It's he was a bartender in like the second pool scene in The Hustler. He's like, I'll take that action. It's
really?
God, what the heck is his?
Is that when Eddie has been drinking the whole day?
No, that's when he's playing Jackie Gleason.
No, but there's a scene where he just keeps doing shots, and then finally somebody bites.
I think that's the first one.
He does one more, and then bang, sinks it. Yeah,
but you can't make it again. Yeah. I think it's the second one.
He's like, I'll take that action.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
not him though.
No,
he's a
no. Or maybe I don't know. I'm just mad that I can't remember his name.
Oh, Jake LaMotta.
There it is. Boom. Yeah.
I had to not think about it for it to come to me.
I know. I was thinking too hard. I'm like, Rocky Martin. No, I couldn't get. Yeah.
Well, circling back to the Joker and connecting it to Scorsese, like it's basically Taxi Driver put like the framework of Taxi Driver put into the DC world, and having the Joker is Travis Bickle.
Yeah.
I watched this really cool interview with Tarantino, and he's talking about the Joker, and he's like, when I was watching it, he's like, at first I was bored. He was like, is this what we're doing now? We're remaking movies from the 70s. Right. Like the Joker is
Scorsese
Taxi Driver.
said this about the Joker?
No. Tarantino's saying this about the Joker. And so he's like, what are we doing now? Is this just what we do? We remake movies from the 70s, meaning the Joker is actually Taxi Driver, and Ad Astra is actually Apocalypse Now.
Right.
Like it's the same structures that we're remaking and recycling.
Right.
But he's like, once we got to the climax where he is on the talk show, we know he has the gun. We know he's completely unhinged. He's like, if you saw this in the theater, he's like, if you watched this on your iPhone, you didn't see the movie.
Right.
He's like, it
was intense.
He's like, that's the difference between, it's like, if you watched it on your phone on a tiny screen, not in a theater, the way it was intended, he's like, you got a hand job rather than a threesome.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
But he's like, the level of subversion that was on display, because
I'm just like replaying it in my head how uncomfortable. How uncomfortable
the suspense
I was.
Is just,
and then you think like the lady's gonna get shot. You're just like, go.
Well, he's like, you're looking at this talk show host who's not a bad guy.
No,
he's like, he might be an asshole, but he's an asshole. He's like, but no more than
he doesn't
David
Letterman.
Shot in the
face.
Exactly.
Johnny Carson, he could be snarky.
But as an audience member, the way that you're able to put that aside, the subversion is on a next level where you want him to do it.
Right.
And he's like, I've never seen it done so well in a film. Than what.
And just to say this, Quentin Tarantino can't really say shit about remaking films or he steals more from old films, which I'm fine because I love every
You're
film.
absolutely right.
But I remember I went to go see oh man, just drawing a blank right now. But they remade it with John Travolta and Denzel Washington. The Taking of Pelham 123, right?
Wait, what's that?
Was it The Taking of Pelham 123, the train movie, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So I went to go see the original, or I went to go see the one with John Travolta and Denzel.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, it was all right, Then I got home, no joke. This was when Netflix used to be delivered. I had the original one, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll give it a shot. It probably won't be as good, and it's way better. But that's where he stole the Mr. Blue, the Mr. Orange, because it was Robert Shaw.
Okay.
It was the guy from Home Improvement, Wilson. It was pretty big name actors. Walter Matthau was in it. Like it's super
I know the
good.
original. I actually did not see the Travolta Washington one.
You're all right.
Yeah,
it's weird to see Travolta that killerish, or like he's doesn't have any problems just murdering people straight up. But you just expect him to start dancing.
I forgot that's where he pulled that from. And the kind of the structure of the story for Reservoir Dogs is pulled from the Japanese film Infernal Affairs. No, I've got that wrong. City on Fire.
Well, yeah.
Infernal Affairs is what The Departed is based off of, which I think is a Korean film.
Okay. I agree with you.
That was a remake.
I believe you. Yeah.
That's basically a remake.
I mean, he was like the first like video store nerd that you heard, of people talking about, like he was so immersed in film that he can't help but steal, and I don't call it stealing either. It's more of like an homage,
Absolutely.
But you'll watch stuff and you're like, I've seen this somewhere else, or, but I don't care.
That's a good point. To not be like, I wasn't even thinking that when he was being critical.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're the king of this.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do. You kind of wrote the book on
right. But he doesn't really
how to steal elements or borrow or just you got to steal from your heroes.
I mean, after a while, you can't help it. I don't think there's very few movies that I watch that I'm surprised by anymore. I mean, maybe one a year, and it's usually some you just up late at night and like, what is this? And you're like, wow. I'm not going to shut up about this tomorrow. I'm going to be bothering everybody. Like, hey, you know what I saw last night? This really weird movie with Tim Roth, or whatever. But yeah.
But if you sat across from him, I think you could. I'm not saying you could match him toe to toe, but your knowledge of cinema. I mean, he's older than you and has a knowledge base that probably is deeper. But I don't think he would.
I've also had the internet at my hands since a very young age. You know what I mean? It's like it's like you could talk to Jesse about this, but like learning an instrument, he was saying how, you have all this stuff on Google. You can learn any song you want at all. And I was thinking about this when I was watching this episode this morning. It's like, I have a very vivid memory of, we had a piano downstairs that I used to like to play. And we had some movie. I know what it is, but I don't want to say it. But there was a song on it that I really liked. And I would run up and I would play it and try to get the key in my head, pause it. And my dad was sleeping on the couch. I was trying to be quiet, run downstairs, like, he keep it here, and then run back up. And it was like 25 times of going up and down the stairs and replaying this song. Whereas now it's like, I want to learn.
Yep.
Meet me halfway from Over the Top, or whatever, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it's there, and there's so many versions of it. So it's like, if you really are into something, the sky's the limit. There's no lack of knowledge that you can find. I mean, it's all available at your fingertips.
It's a good point.
It's
I
kind
think
of
we take it for granted too,
right? And I think it's kind of ruined some of my movie watching experience lately, because I'll be watching something and the whole time I'm like, who is this actress? Oh, what else is she in? What Oh, I didn't know she was. And then you look up and you're like, oh wait, where'd they get that car from?
Totally.
And it's like, if I really want to watch something, it's like I have to put my phone down. And just. Like, I can't read a book anymore. I've tried. I can't even listen to a book. I tried to listen to some book the other day, and I went for a walk, and I got back, and I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. And 2 days later, I went for a walk, and I started it over. No idea what's going on at all. I can't just...
It's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
And those questions that would pop up in your head where you're like, what else was she in? I know her from something. Instead of that just laboring you for the next 48 hours, you're just like, God, I know her from something. You have the ability to just like reach in your pocket and answer that question. Well, Will you grab me one of those too?
Yes, sir. You want?
I'll do an IPA again.
I have a really good friend, Al. He's sort of like my movie mentor kind of guy. Like, I've seen more movies with this guy than anybody in my life, like by a long shot. And he, we used to like sit, before we had cell phones, we sit at a bar and we'd be like, all right, Robin Williams, and we go back and forth until one of us couldn't name a movie they were in. Stuff like that. Game. Yeah, it was super fun, and sometimes it didn't last very long. You'd be like Alan Alda, I'd be like, oh, crap,
like, but MASH. Wait, no, that's a TV show.
Yeah, and he'll still just text me out of the blue, like, "Did you know the bartender in Nobody's Fool was Hilary Swank's crazy mom?" And like,
wow,
what? And I'll do the same thing to him. You're like, "What are you watching? What are you watching?" But
are you guys the same age? Or
no, he's much older than me.
Yeah,
no, he's like 6 years older than me.
Okay,
but he's one of my oldest friends, and yeah. But we have really similar interests in movies, and I'll be like, "Hey, I just watched this. You should check it out." Or he'll he'll text me like, "Hey, I need something to watch."
Yeah.
You just give him like 3 quick things. But I've learned a lot of more appreciation about film from knowing this person. I already had like a pretty good knowledge of movies, but you have someone to bounce ideas. It's same with like when I talk to you.
I think you're describing my relationship to you. You're kind of my film mentor.
It's like fun. Like, there's very few things I like to talk about as much as movies. Or that I know so much. There's things I like to talk about, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like motorcycles. And then it's like, yeah, is that a double overhead cam? People that fix that. Like, I just like, there's a button and you hit start and then you go fast. Like. You start talking about, the Royal Enfield had one like that. Like,
oh yeah,
cool. What is that? I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I wasn't sure if you were gonna ride your bike over tonight.
I thought about it, but it's really hot.
It's so hot right now.
It's warmer.
Oh my God, that's a great point. Like, that's probably been a big deterrent.
Yeah.
This summer,
well, if I work during the day, up the canyon, it's awesome. Okay. And I know I'm gonna pay the price on the way home when it's 94, but whatever. It's 40 minutes, so you can put up with it. But I've been trying to ride as much as I have this summer, and it's I got a different bike, so it's even more fun now. But
I know you're a big motorcycle guy. Were there movies growing up that were like
I have a
pinpoint? Like, this is the start of my passion.
Well, I don't know
obsession.
about that, but I always I have when Arlie Emery died, I was on Facebook, and this guy had a pencil drawing of Arlie Emery from
is he Full Metal Jacket?
From Full Metal Jacket.
Okay,
yeah. Apocalypse Now was his first role.
You're right. He's a helicopter pilot.
Yep, because he was getting the GI Bill in Japan or whatever. That's right. But anyway, he had this picture of Arlie, and we're like, oh, that's neat. Let's see what else he's got. And he's had this picture of, like, I don't buy stuff from unknown. Like, it's always like a credible Amazon, Target, Yeah. And he had this drawing, and it's when Steve McQueen, is running from the Germans. And at one point, he jumps over the fence and he turns back and he goes like this.
Yeah.
And that's the drawing. And I have it framed on my wall. And I was looking at it today. I'm like, that fucking guy is so cool. Like, God, is he cool? And I don't know. I don't think that sparked my interest in motorcycles, but it didn't hurt. Like, I've liked motorcycles a lot. Like, they're just, I don't think there's a better way to get around. But yeah, Steve McQueen, who, by the way, in The Great Escape, played a German soldier chasing himself at one point. Because there was some weird documentary out a couple years ago about, it's called The Greatest Movie Ever Made. And they go to like France and stuff to where they were filmed. There's still people alive like, yes, Lee Marvin and whatever. They all stayed here. It wasn't Lee Marvin, but it was like
James Garner or something. Or
James Garner was in it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who's the guy that does all the nature documentaries. He was Attenborough. Richard Attenborough's in it.
Oh, that's right.
Pretty Charles Bronson, like pretty and they have pictures of them like drinking wine after the shooting it wrapped and stuff. And then they had this old footage of Steve McQueen chasing his stuntman. Like, he did most of his stunts anyway, but he plays a German chasing his own self, which is kind of neat. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, that guy was a badass. Like, he was a man's man. You know?
He was.
Paul Newman the same way. Like, Adam Carolla had that documentary about his racing career.
Yeah.
I've watched it like 3 times. It's
the Paul Newman one?
Yeah.
Winning.
It's
fantastic.
So good. It's so good.
When you find out, like, later in life, he truly wanted to be known as a race car driver, like known as that
acting was
did a little
his
bit
job.
of acting on the side. Yeah,
racing was his passion.
This is my passion. This is my job.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately for him, he was a good-looking guy, and he's a great actor. I mean, like, The Verdict is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I like the like broke down, like Crazy Heart, like Crush kind of characters that kind of survive in the end. I know it's Hollywood, but it's like, you know, The Verdict, I was the first time I saw that, I was like, what is this? It's in that weird couple years where they wore like ugly brown suits, and it's really dark filming and stuff, like Tootsie and shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was hooked, like, from the beginning. And and it was because of Paul Newman. Like, Nobody's Fool is one of my favorite movies by far, like top 5 for sure.
A success story is great, but one of the better, like a better angle is like somebody who is down on their luck, getting still like coming out, in the end.
Not so much self-destructive. Well, maybe a little because like I just watched The Gambler with James Caan, which I've never seen.
Oh wow!
And God, it's just,
which they remade with Mark Wahlberg. That the game. Oh, it's painful.
I won't watch that. Is that a Peter Berg film?
Probably.
God,
if it's Wahlberg,
man.
No, I found the James Caan version just painful.
Yeah, but great. He'd
win
good.
And then he'd lose, and
he won all that money. I thought he was going to lose it, and then he won. You know, like I'd only seen James Caan in a few films. Like there was the Alien Nation, and you know, as I grew older, of course, Godfathers. But
Alien Nation. Wow, I forgot about that one.
Even which they kind of remade with Will Smith and Ray Livingston, where he's the alien and they're cops. Did you see that movie?
Oh, that's right.
I got super drunk and watched that movie, and I was like, man, I got to tell Jesse, this is one of the best films I've ever seen. And the next morning, I'm laying in bed, I'm like, I should probably watch that again before.
What was that called?
I text him. I don't know. It wasn't memorable.
Okay.
You know, it was all right.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a huge I mean, I have a very niche, like, sci-fi catalog that I enjoy. Like, I've never seen Dune. Okay. You know, I've tried, and...
Oh, it's a weird one.
I know, but the new
I enjoy
one looks
it,
pretty
but
good. I don't know.
Is that out?
With Oscar Isaac? Not yet.
Okay. No. It looks good.
Yeah. There's certain sci-fi, like I like 12 Monkeys. I like stuff like that. Cool. But then, there's other stuff where I'm like, I don't get it. You know? Maybe it's a...
Did you see Thief with James Caan?
That's the next one I was going to say.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. You know,
total precursor for Heat.
Yeah.
Like, you watched Heat, and like Thief and Heat are like Mean Streets and Goodfellas.
Yeah. And a very young Jim Belushi is in it. That's his buddy in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thief. Wow. I saw that within the last...
It's been a while.
Within the last year. And I was... That movie, the Heat reference is perfect. Yeah, like, I like heists. Like, I like Thomas Crown Affair type stuff. You know, where... Not like con garbage. Like, sometimes the con man thing gets a little worn out. But I like thinking man stealing. You know, like...
Yeah.
But yeah, Thief, I liked immediately. I was like, God, man, James Caan's a fun guy to watch, man. Then you watch The Gambler, and you're like, oh my God,
what is rough?
This poor son of a bitch. You know, like you feel so bad.
I mean, he was my favorite part when I first saw The Godfather, which probably wasn't until like high school or so.
Yeah, he walks around like this the whole time.
Yeah. Oh my God. His furry shoulders.
What's his king? He's got like Larry King shoulder. Yeah. It's like, get away from the meat sauce. And some of your chest hair is gonna fall. He's so hairy. He's not even Italian. That's the funny thing.
But in the beginning at the wedding, when he smashes the photographer's camera and he's like flexing on him,
money,
chucks him some money.
Get out of here. Yeah.
It's great.
Get a real job.
Oh, and people are outraged because he's Jewish, not Italian.
Yeah.
It's like, he was fantastic
as
so Sonny
good.
Corleone.
Yeah. I just watched 1 and 2 within the last couple of weeks because they're on Peacock. But if you ever get a chance to watch, they made a version. It's 7 hours long with them combined chronologically.
1 and 2?
Yeah. So it starts out where they're like walking with the coffin in part 2 with the father, and then they go, you hear like they killed the oldest son, Prego, whatever his name was,
Wow, so it starts back in Corleone.
All perfect,
Wasn't that where they were, Corleone, Sicily or something?
Yeah, because his name was something else, and then he got to Ellis Island, like it was Vito Angelino or something. He's like, from Corleone, Vito Corleone. Yeah. And then next thing you know, he just starts effing shit up. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
oh man,
if you don't like Godfather, I don't want to be your friend. There's certain, there's
a couple of those.
There's certain movies where if you say,
pals.
One of the guys I was in the other podcast with, says that Quentin Tarantino hasn't made a good movie yet, and he hates Pulp Fiction. And I'm just like, he's a great guy. Yeah. But every time I see him, like, you think, he goes, Pulp Fiction is the worst Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm like,
I just don't think.
I don't think you should have a worst of his movies because they're all good. None of them are bad. Oh man! But I don't think that's the worst. I mean.
So I met another young guy recently who said, "I never expected to hear this." We were talking about Tarantino because I was
feel my blood boiling already. I know it's going to be
because I was going to bring up with him Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and talk about how much I love that film and what it means to me and. He was talking about Tarantino. He's like, yeah, I like him. I'm not crazy about his early stuff. And I was like, wait, but which? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Please don't say what I think. He's like,
Reservoir Dogs?
Pulp Fiction. He didn't know it was Pulp Fiction.
Really?
He's like, I didn't like it. I wonder. I mean, is this a thing, like a generational thing? If you didn't,
I don't know how you can't like Pulp Fiction.
I mean, yeah, you can be disturbed by. I mean, if you're somebody who's kind of a little squeamish, and I
think Reservoir Dogs is way worse because
True. Yeah.
I went to school to be a police officer,
rough.
And on my downtime,
Did you really?
Yeah, I had some friends that lived in an apartment across the street. I would go over and play Doom. Blew my mind, this video game, But my friend Matt was like, "Hey, you got to watch this movie," and he starts it right during Stuck in the Middle with You, and Michael Madsen. And I was like, what? So why do they have the cop? I didn't have any reference to what was going on. Why
you had to start that movie in the middle?
And he goes, watch this scene. You got to see this. That's what he wanted to show me. I didn't know there was this whole awesome movie where I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so this guy is a cop with the gas or what? And he's killing another cop? And like, no. And all of a sudden,
he's just torturing him.
Hello. And you're like,
was that good for you?
Holy shit. This is unbelievable. What is this? And he's like, it's Quentin Tarantino. And it's like...
That was another one.
Sounded like another name you made up.
As soon as it ended, I was like, I got to start this over
It's like watching
again.
A play, basically. And he had some credits, like he wrote True Romance.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't like True Romance, that's another one. Like, that's just that's a solid film from beginning to end, you know?
And here in Tarantino, this is right after Tony Scott's death, after he offed himself. So sad. Wish he could have made more movies.
Yeah.
He was basically giving credit to Tony and what he did with his script because he's like I'm proud of what was on the page, but Tony made decisions that made my story so much better.
Right.
Specifically in the Drexel, is that his name? Drexel? The Gary Oldman character.
Yeah.
When they're
the Rastafarian?
Yeah, oh my God. Gary Oldman basically playing a wigger.
Yeah. Milk chicken. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy is such a chameleon.
Yes.
He's like the addition of that giant lampshade that they end up throwing back at each other, and he tilts it up to him. He's like that completely changed the scene. He's like, also there are no like direction notes in my screenplay about blaring techno music in the background.
Yeah.
He's like, what Tony did for that movie. He's like, yes, I wrote it, he's like, that's Tony's film.
Yeah.
I thought that was really impressive.
Listen, he made I was just looking at Young Guns. He made Top Gun like the highest grossing film of the year. Like, if you were pitching this movie to somebody and was like, all right, Navy pilots, right? The best of the best. And there's a volleyball scene. Yeah. And there's a love interest. And you'd be like, yeah, that might be an all right movie. Oh, like Iron Eagle? Sort of. You know, like, because Iron Eagle's kind of, I love Iron Eagle, but it's kind of
sort of
not a lot
gayer.
Yeah. Just about 70% gayer, right? Jason Gedrick doesn't take his shirt off.
Well, you know the Quentin Tarantino monologue that he does? It's actually written by Roger Avery, but it's in the film Sleep With Me. And he's doing this whole monologue about his theory on Top Gun. Quentin Tarantino is doing this.
Yeah.
And they're at a party, and he's just talking with a buddy, and he's talking about Top Gun is actually a gay man wrestling with his own sexuality. And he puts up a really compelling argument where Kelly McGillis, is that her name? Where he talks about he goes over to her place and he's all filthy and sweaty and she wants him to stick around.
Yeah.
He leaves.
He's sitting by the dock of the bay, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Where he's like, this music. My parents used to listen to this music.
Yeah.
That moment where he rejects her, she is tempting him.
Yeah.
She's tempting him, but he's going away from it. And he like runs away. He's like, in the very next scene, they run into each other on the elevator, and she's dressed like a guy.
Yeah,
she's dressed like
baseball hat.
Yeah, totally. Anyways, it's a hilarious scene where he's laying out that it's really a metaphor for what's it? Pete Mitchell's wrestling with his sexuality.
Well, I mean, he's in the beginning of Reservoir Dogs when they're talking about Like a Virgin. Like that blew my mind when he's got his, and it's him playing something he wrote too, you know, because originally he was supposed to be the Steve Buscemi part. I think he wrote for himself.
I think so.
But like he's looking at her like the first time, like a virgin. And you're watching, you're like,
wow,
what? Who thinks like
what
this?
What a take on this!
What a parallel thinking. You know, like I don't know who.
He almost thinks like a comedian, where like you take a subject and then you just find an angle.
Yeah.
And then you explore that angle because it's funny to do it.
But instead of making everything funny, he makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of the comedians in cars getting coffee, and I really I love
that
comedians.
Show. That show is
every
incredible.
Episode 4 or 5 times. But how a comedian thinks, like, and I was watching, I'm like, God, that's like. Sometimes, like, I'll see something and I was like, I'll think of something that maybe shouldn't be funny, you know, and you're like, all right, now who can I tell this to, you know, because it's a select few, and it's not a mean thing. It's just I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or, you know, and it's usually like, hey, Jesse, let me tell you something. Like, I was thinking of this, you know, like, all right, you know, but yeah, it's you're right though. It's he just makes maybe things that aren't that interesting. He can find a way to twist it.
Yeah,
you know, where it'd be like, you know, someone trying to explain like skateboarding to you or something, and they're like, well, let me just show you. Let me show you what's going on. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. Or you watch movies on something that you have no interest in, zero, you know, and it makes it something that you're interested in all of a sudden, you know. But yeah, like I remember, like example, like what was the Leonardo DiCaprio Hardy movie? The bear with the bear and
I was gonna say Inception.
No,
but
also a great movie,
The Revenant.
The Revenant.
Yeah, about Hugh Glass.
It was like 2 days of me just like, and then what part of this is real and what great movie.
Doing the research.
Yeah, it's like I have zero interest in this stuff, but all of a sudden, you see a movie about something, and the next thing you know, you're.
I can see why they added in the revenge plot. But it's completely fabricated.
Of course it is. So is Braveheart. That's, you know, you ask most people to name
that
the
is
10
the
favorite...
least accurate historical. Yeah. That Braveheart, boy, it plays fast and loose with the history.
Is that right?
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Whoops.
Go for that. What was it Ezra Brooks?
That's a great bottle.
You were talking about Tarantino possibly playing Mr. Pink. So in the, I guess it's the 20th anniversary DVD set or whatever, they show the old school footage from the Sundance Summer Labs, which I used to work at.
Right.
And like I know the buildings that he's shooting.
Oh, really?
So the bathroom scene where Mr. White and Mr. Pink are talking about what happened.
He's like washing his hands.
Where he's he's washing his hands, and Mr. White's combing his hair and lighting cigarettes.
So cool.
And they're talking about like, okay, so the alarm went off, and
everything went crazy.
Everyone went crazy. Mr. Blonde, bang, bang, bang.
Fucking guy. Yeah.
So he's explaining that. But it's in a bathroom scene. So he's workshopping. You like it? Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Speaking of Tarantino, I just felt like when Harvey Keitel's like, with the coffee.
Yeah. Nice.
But when they're, sorry.
So their workshop, like Tarantino, and the purpose of the Summer Labs is to take your project, like if you've submitted your screenplay, and then basically they see the potential in you, and he certainly had some heat on him coming off of selling True Romance and the success of True Romance. So he was accepted into the Summer Labs, and it's not for a completed project. It's basically like, I need help on this. We're getting really close, but it's not ready for production. Right. And you get incredible guidance and advisement from the people who are invited, who are Robert Redford's close friends and colleagues. And one for Tarantino was Terry Gilliam. Terry Gilliam was like really a mentor for him during that experience. But he's shooting that scene in the bathroom, but it's in the bathroom of the Redford Theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was my bathroom.
It looks like an industrial bathroom too.
Well, no, so this is just at the Summer Labs.
Wait, are you talking about where the sheriffs are, or where?
No.
Okay.
So this is bonus footage that you find on the DVD, where you get to see what he shot at Sundance, and Steve Buscemi is doing it with him. Buscemi or Buscemi,
really?
Whatever, however you say it.
I thought it was Buscemi.
That one better. That's my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, if you're from northern Italy, it's Buscemi.
Buscemi.
Buscemi. Also a kind of pasta.
Yeah. Delicious. So, what really would be happening is Buscemi was just there as a hired actor. So he took this as a summer gig. Maybe he didn't have a project. He comes to the Summer Labs and works with these filmmakers. Okay. He and Tarantino hit it off immediately.
Right.
And they're rehearsing the scene, and it's Steve Buscemi who's playing Mr. White. Okay. And Quentin Tarantino is doing all of Pink's dialogue. Okay. So you're watching.
Do you have this DVD?
I do. I'll show you this.
Maybe
I'll let you borrow
it to me.
No, we got to sit next to each other and hold hands.
You're going to give me $100 bill, which I will return to you. Yeah, no. All right. It's like that. Okay.
Yeah, so absolutely. I want you to see this.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Because for me, it was so cool because it's like, all right, I've taken a leak in this bathroom 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's really
we
cool.
all worked, the operations team, we worked in a yurt right outside of the theater. And so we just walk into the theater and use the bathroom. But watching the scene take place and watching Tarantino act as Pink, you're like, it feels like he wrote it for himself. Right. But Buscemi got immediately attached to the project.
Right.
Like, basically, they parted ways in Utah in agreement, like, I want to make this movie with you. Yeah. As soon as you put this together, you got a schedule, you got funding, I'm there. And
let's be honest off the bat that Quentin Tarantino is not a good actor. He does just enough.
He's interesting.
Like, even as like Jimmy and Pulp, like he's in there. What do they look like? They look like dorks. Like, funny. They're your clothes, motherfucker. Like,
totally.
It's just enough, but it's like he's not a great actor.
It's him. It was kind of weird seeing him in Django being an Aussie.
Yeah. It's
like, I didn't hate it, but it's not a great Aussie.
Like, Scorsese's a better actor. There's like a coke-riddled guy in the back of a cab.
My God.
Yeah, like he's better. Or Alfred Hitchcock carrying a cello through the...
Was better?
I just watched this video on YouTube of every Alfred Hitchcock cameo. It's hilarious. He's carrying instruments all the time. It's weird. I never noticed this because
what a weird thing.
The reason I did it because I was watching Rear Window.
Yep.
And I normally never think about his cameos, but I saw the one he was in where he walked.
Was he down in the courtyard?
He was down like on the other side of the alley.
Oh, and you see him walk across.
No. He's in the piano players thing, and he's like the music agent who's like telling him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep. But in that movie, that was like the first movie that I ever saw that I was like I was blown away. Like, it's so good. It's still so good. And when Perry Mason, whatever his name is, nobody cares, like does the looks right into his eye.
Yeah.
I remember I was like 7 or 8. You know, like. But I knew who Perry Mason was then. Like I knew
Kevin
that
McAllister.
was. I knew who that was because we used to. You know, you watch Perry Mason reruns. You know, I'm trying to think of his name, but it doesn't matter.
I can't think of it either.
Raymond Burr. And another funny thing is he's like 36 in this movie, and he looks like he's 50. Speaking of that, I'm now older than Sam Elliott was in Roadhouse.
Whoa.
As the old man, like the crippled.
Dude, that's a trip.
I know. I just thought of that the other day. I was like, Sam Elliott was 44 in Roadhouse?
That hurts my feelings.
That hurts. Imagine how I feel. It's even worse.
I can't even.
He's like the broke down.
It hurts my feelings for you.
So
you know, brutal. He's the gambler at the beginning of Butch and Sundance?
Yeah. But I've watched it so many times, and I've never been able to, like, it still doesn't look like him, I don't think. You know, like.
Yeah. It's hard to place.
It's one of 7 movies I actually own.
I didn't know you were the kid when I says you was cheating.
That's him. I don't think that's him.
That's how. So he and Catherine Ross are married. That's where they met. Was on the set.
But that's for sure him.
Yeah.
It says.
I'm almost positive. Yeah.
Almost.
I'm positive.
Let's pause.
we
come back and you're all solid, and I'm like, I'm like James Conn with my shoulders out. Anyway.
Should we fact check it?
Hollywood, yeah, let's check
it. Here,
I know he was in it.
We don't need to pause.
Oh, you have it. You have the movie.
No, but we can. Oh, shoot. Well, I definitely have the movie.
Oh,
I don't know if.
Were you going to Google it on your phone? Okay, I thought you grabbed a remote. I was like, all right.
I just put it on.
All right. Yeah, this.
You see here, I'll look it up.
This podcast is 4 hours.
But he's such a.
No, I know that he is credited as card player in the beginning, and I've watched it, but I don't think he's the guy has a speaking part.
Are you serious?
Yeah, when he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were." You know,
I didn't know you was the kid.
Yeah,
when
yeah. He shoots his
he's like,
off.
He's like, we don't. He's like, he's got to ask us to stick around.
Yeah.
Paul Newman's incredible.
Yeah, that movie.
That scene.
Only thing I hate about that movie again is the soundtrack. Like Burt Bacharach.
Oh yeah.
I love Raindrops. Well, it's a great song, but it doesn't.
It was during a period. It was and actually
it was like a mod area. Mad, you know.
Like Coppola and Scorsese, like they came out of the same class, and George Roy Hill was kind of at the older end of the class. Like he wasn't one of the young guys, but he was dabbling in what they refer to as the film renaissance, where they were really working in pop music into like period pieces and things like that. And I love that movie. I mean, it is one of my favorites as a kid.
Right.
When I was a kid, I had like shaggy strawberry blonde hair.
What?
And I had not no mo.
You're still wearing the same shorts too. So.
I am. Well, I'm the same waist size.
Lucky. Yeah.
Got this crazy metabolism.
Yeah.
And my uncle would call me like Little Redford with my haircut. And it wasn't until I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, I was like, "Mom, what's a Redford?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, of course, you've not seen any of his movies."
Yeah.
So she pulled out Butch and Sundance, and I watched that at 8 years old, and I was like,
"That's awesome!
Oh my God, that's a man.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be when I grow up."
It's such a great movie, except for, and it's not even the raindrops keep falling on my head, like on the bicycle part. That's fine. It's during like the chase scenes, like you know the and it's like, oh God, shut up! Nobody has a harmonica. I never thought I'd say this.
That's Sam Elliott. That's Sam the man.
Damn,
just no mustache.
You know what? You're right. Touche.
Touche, sir.
God,
Well, it's even mind-blowing.
When you look at, he doesn't sound like him though either. Maybe they dubbed over him or something. Do you think?
I don't know. Maybe it's just him young.
He's got a voice.
You're right, because he's not. It doesn't sound like he's chewing on gravel.
No,
like it became.
Yeah.
He makes fantastic,
so much money on his voice.
Yeah.
I mean, John Ashton lives in Fort Collins, right? Taggart from Beverly Hills.
Yes, yes.
So he's a regular at the bar where we used
the
to
island.
hang out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have seen him
talking to him,
and I'm starstruck when I see him.
I know. And the funniest thing is, I have a funny story about, like I knew about him coming in there before I worked there, like 2 years. And then when I started working, I was like, man, because you know how much I love him. I was like, there's so many things I want to ask him, but I'm not going to be that guy. And then all of a sudden, one day he goes, hey, I heard you didn't like Lonesome Survivor. I was like, what? Because I had told a fellow coworker, Scotty, about it. I was like,
Lone Survivor?
What a pile of garbage. Yeah, Mark
Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
Another Peter Berg.
And I was like, this is the first time we ever talked about movies,
Did I ever tell you I worked the premiere of that?
Did you really?
I was Mark Wahlberg's like talent liaison. So I walked the red carpet with him.
Really?
And no joke, like women were throwing panties and bras onto the red carpet at Mark Wahlberg. God bless him. Yeah.
God bless him.
What's hilarious is the women were probably in their 40s. Like,
what's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that.
What's wrong with being in your 40s, Mike?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's the decision to throw your underwear at a public event.
I hold my underwear tight.
There's a little
tight to the vest. I don't like to just throw them around willy-nilly, Like, hey, Kirstie Alley, zoink. No.
Anyways, I didn't see Lone Survivor till like a couple weeks later, but yeah, it was.
There was a point where they go, "You can die for your country. I'm living for mine," and I was like, "I'm done. I'm out of here." Like lines like that are just corny, But anyway,
wow,
it wasn't an awful. I didn't think it was awful, but it was just. It was kind of like built up, like.
But he heard you said that
to Scotty, and he's like, "You like the movie?" And I was like, well, I mean, I didn't hate it, like I was just wanted to ask some questions about like Midnight Run or which is one of my favorite films and stuff like that, and since then like he's really
is he
nice
okay
guy.
Talking about his career, or is he rather not?
I don't know. Like I think once you know him, maybe it's I think anybody, if you just come up as a stranger and starts talking to you about your life or something, would probably be uncomfortable. But like him, be like, hey. What do you think about, like cool. he would tell me about stuff he's in, like when he was in this movie called Uncle John like 5 years ago, and it was so good. It's such a good movie. And, he's like, I'm in this independent film. And I'm like, what? Like, man, I really hope it's good. Yeah. And it blew me away. I've watched it like 4 times. It's really, really good.
That's good news. I'm glad that he's still.
Oh, yeah.
Still doing it, even just like infrequently.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw him at the bar, and I was like, Jesus, that looks just like him.
Yeah.
And I think you told me later, you were like, well, Taggart.
Yeah.
He's like a regular here.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shit, I did see him. Wait, that was I just thought it was like an old guy who looked kind of like him.
Like character actor that most people wouldn't.
Well, he's sitting at the bar and he's watching the football game or whatever, and he's got his little readers on. Yeah. It's not the guy from
right, and he doesn't have a mustache. He's not 35 like he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I saw him. I was with my buddy Pat that goes in there quite a bit before I worked there, and I was like, he had like a beret on or something, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy rocking the beret over? And he goes, you mean Taggart? I'm like, Taggart, like, and I knew his name. I was like, John Ashton, like Beverly Hills Cop. He's like, yeah, that's him. I was like, what? Same thing.
I know.
I was watching Monday Night Football at this bar in Florida one time with my buddy, also named Bryan, and we were just sitting there, and I just happened to look over, and Richard Jenkins was sitting right next to me. It was the Eagles and the Bears, and I look, and I was like, Bryan. I was like, I think Richard Jenkins is sitting next to me. He's like, who? I'm like, Richard Jenkins, like actor. He's like, from Step Brothers. Like of all the movies he's done,
That's the one he goes.
Yeah, he's like failure. And I was like, I'm like, shut the hell up. Like, it was just so busy that all the tables are kind of pushed together, and I'm just like,
yeah,
man, I want to talk to this guy so bad, but I never did. It was. Just, it's like you never want to be that guy,
Well, what's his name? John Ashton.
John Ashton. Yeah.
Ashton.
Yep.
Am I saying
Ashton? Yeah. Ashton was Gomez from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I've sat next to him at the island,
okay.
and I like with my experience in working in LA and working in Hollywood. I've been lucky enough to like rub elbows with some celebrities that were just like
watching dirt bikes with Brad Pitt sold our friendship.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy's
cool.
Yeah.
I told you that story.
Yeah. And
right.
I was like, what?
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Getting to like run a green room with Harrison Ford and be with him for a couple of days throughout
every sub 45 to 27-year-old's dream.
Yeah. I didn't like, and I'm pretty far removed now from that life, but I was accustomed.
Don't be smug about it.
No.
You can bask in this because I would. I'd be like, oh yeah, Harrison Ford. What are you eating, a Snickers? Yeah, I once gave Harrison Ford a Snickers. We were in a green room. Not a big deal.
What's funny is I opened a bottle of white wine for him. Like that's the real
Was
deal
it a
story.
Chardonnay? That's what I imagined.
God, I think it was a Pinot.
That sounds so Han. So Han.
So Han.
That's what Chewie would drink.
Well, and he was like fighting off a cold, so he was like popping antihistamines. He'd get lit on that white wine
and have to crash on a golf course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a pilot. He's been saving lives. Okay, 2 crashes in the last year. Fun fact.
Ooh,
yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
But I felt a little far removed now that I was back in Fort Collins and being next to John Ashton.
Yeah.
I felt legitimately like, oh my God, I'm sitting right next to Taggart himself. Like I wanted to be like,
speaking of
it's
that,
a good punch, Taggart.
It was one thing I wanted to tell you about the Jesse Lee. You were talking about John Borman.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And directing his daughter in a rape scene. And I was like, if anybody, I mean, he directed Ned Beatty getting raped. Like, that's the most memorable, probably, rape scene you can ever think of. It was like,
truly.
Maybe his daughter, it wasn't so much harder than, a chubby, like, East Coast. Yeah. And which is funny because I saw him.
Dude. I totally forgot that's Deliverance.
As I was listening, and I was like, I mean, if anybody's qualified for awkward rape scenes, it's John Borman.
God,
but I saw Ned Beatty. I walked into a theater in uptown Minneapolis, and I was standing in line. I looked, and I was like, man, that looks like Ned Beatty, And I kept walking, and he had this nice, like, tweed jacket on, I was like, God, that guy looks like Ned Beatty, but he's just standing there doing nothing, And and all of a sudden a guy comes in. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Beatty, your car's ready." I'm like, "I knew it." I wasn't thinking squeal like a pig. I was thinking, "Hey, Dean Martin," because I love Back to School. I was like,
cool.
But I wonder how many a-holes go by that guy and yell "squeal like a pig,"
Poor
but then
guy.
I came out. He was back at the theater again, and he was promoting this movie called Summerland, which was filmed in Minnesota, kind of nearby where I grew up, and I would have never seen it. I'd never even heard of it, probably, and I've watched it several times. It's really, really good movie about like immigrants, World War I era, but whatever. Yeah, but it's like the whole time I was thinking when you guys were talking about, I'm like, if anybody could film a rape scene and not be uncomfortable, it's probably John Borman. Yeah,
I was not connecting Excalibur and Deliverance.
Yeah,
when everyone, I mean, it is a horrifying and disturbing scene by these woodfolk, but it's such a badass scene for Burt Reynolds.
Will McKinnon was the guy who played. He was in all those Clint Eastwood movies.
Yeah.
Is the rapist.
He's in Josie Wales.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the guy with the teeth, like, pretty much made a living off
just
of that
being a hillbilly.
And he was always like a Western tough guy, like Gunsmoke and Branded and the Rifleman. You know what I mean? Like, and I just was looking at stuff about this guy. Like he kind of never had to work again because he played this.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a very dark film. Like when they look in the window and there's that weird like half-formed baby, and you're just like, what?
This is such a God, this is your vacation, guys?
God, yeah.
Well, when John Voight is like tied up and his neck is cinched down and he's looking, and basically he looks through the guy's arm, and it does a rack focus, and it's Burt Reynolds at full draw. Yeah. I was like, oh, I only know the squeal like a piggy. Like,
no.
When I went into Deliverance, I knew what I was getting into. Like, I knew this was gonna be. Go for it, man. Yeah, you want one? Hit me up, man. I knew it was gonna be this is the challenging scene. This is the thing that you're expecting. I didn't realize it was going to be Burt Reynolds saves the day. And it's an incredible moment.
Well, you kind of know him as like the wisecracking guy of like, I mean, I'm older than you even, but it's like Smoking the Bandit and Cannonball Run and shit. Like I never knew he had made these dramatic films because I never saw it until I was like 30. I never saw Deliverance, and it's weird to see him kind of.
Did you ever see? This was a very strange, random, like for us in high school to be obsessed with a movie. It's a Burt Reynolds film called Stick.
No.
He gets out of jail and he's I gotta go back to it, but like we had all these like catchphrases that came out of this movie.
What year was it?
I want to say it was like early 70s.
Okay. Stick.
Yeah. There's a moment where he's fresh out of jail. His buddy picks him up, takes him to a bar, and they go to the bar, and there's this guy at the bar who is harassing the bartender, who's this young woman, this beautiful woman. And he's harassing her, and he's reaching over the bar, and he's like pinching her ass and stuff. And one time
normal behavior.
Yeah, that's normal. Hey, you've seen it at the island.
Happens to me all the time. Hey,
That's how we met. Yeah. I was reaching over the bar and
Mike
just grabbed a handful.
If I have to tell you one more time to stop grabbing my ass, you're gonna get a second warning, mister. Vanessa's outside like,
I knew it.
Son of a bitch.
Those two.
Nobody laughs that much when they hang out ever.
So he the guy who's harassing, he like leans forward on the bar stool, and Burt Reynolds like lights a match or a book of matches, and he like puts it down on the seat. So this guy sits down. I mean, it's cartoonishly bad. Right. And like where he sits down, it's like,
yeah.
And then Burt Reynolds immediately smashes his face on the bar.
Yeah.
And his buddy comes running out of the bathroom. He's like, and he's this little Latino guy, and he's like, what are you doing, Stick? You cannot do this. And he goes, he was an asshole. And he goes, you can't just go around banging every asshole you see.
You totally could in the 70s. Absolutely, you could. That's the greatest thing. I've never been in a fight in my life. Like, I've never punched anybody in anger.
That's awesome.
But it's like, I remember I was watching the pilot episode of like Rockford Files. There was so much shit in there where you're just like, oh God, that's so not PC. And he tricks this guy into following him into the bathroom. And he's like, yeah, I always figured you workout guy. It's the guy he gets to trick him in is the guy who's running the convenience store in The Outsiders. When he shoots Dally, he's like, whoa.
I can picture that actor.
Jacked. He's jacked. Way. And he worked in movies like he's like Charles Bronson. Like he's got a six-pack in his 60s,
Yeah.
But anyway, and he's like, I always thought you guys were a little, And I'm like, holy shit. Like, you could never say this. And before the guy came in, he grabs a bunch of soap and puts it on the floor. And the guy comes at him and he falls. And Rockford's like, whack! Knocks him out. Rips his belt off, puts it around his feet, and hangs him from the, like every bathroom door has a hook on it. And then he stands on his neck. And I was like, can you imagine trying to sell this TV show now? Like, you make a derogatory remark about homosexuals. Not one part of this could happen.
You're canceled so far fast. Before this goes to air.
And meanwhile, I'm like, well, this is awesome. Like...
This is different.
Yeah, this isn't going to make me think less of anybody, but I like the entertainment value, like.
How about the scenes in Mean Streets where they pick up the guy in the rain slicker or whatever? Yeah.
It's a
it's
so
homophobic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's where it's just not fair to like look at films back then in the lens of 2021.
Right. But I also think you can't not pretend that stuff doesn't still go on and make a film like. That's probably not what that guy would have said. Is it wrong? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely it's wrong. But let's be real. It's not what this angry person would have said. They would have said something more derogatory or hurtful, But, that's the world we live in. You got to accept it. I'd rather, I guess, treat people more fairly, I guess. But
totally.
There's always, you own every old movie, apparently. You can just watch those if we want to be offended,
Well, I had my other buddy, Jesse... not Jesse Lee, but Jesse Nyander on. And shout out to Jesse. He runs the Horsetooth International Film Festival.
Oh, okay.
And he's a crazy movie buff as well. Mm-hmm. And I think his VHS collection buries mine.
Out.
It really does. But I've seen it. It's legit. Like I think it buries it 2 or 3 times over. But he admitted on like when he came on the show, he was like, yeah, but yours is curated.
Yeah, you can tell like
this is my childhood.
Like almost every single movie in here I would watch. You know, there's a couple I don't even know what they are, which is really weird. Like I think I've tried to watch Heathers, but
Heathers is crazy good.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Sullivan's Travels?
No.
Okay, so here's the fun fact about this.
How old is this? Like 40s?
Yeah, so this is maybe
41, Veronica Lake.
41.
Natty.
Yeah, take a dip in the lake.
Just to tell. Just see how it feels.
Just stop it.
You stop it.
So it's about a Hollywood producer. You're reading the back. See if I get this right. So it's about a Hollywood.
So far, you got the first sentence. Yes. An idealist who believes. No, go ahead. I'm just joking.
No. Like,
I thought you were
how well did you memorize this?
I thought you were just gonna. Oh, and then by the way, here's this video I'm gonna pull out at random. Let me just tell you what it's about. I'm like, what the hell? This is like
Jesus Christ.
That's where you were when I got here. You were upstairs. You're like, I saw Hollywood sets. Oh, I see America from the bottom up along the way. Okay, I got it. Oh, hey, Bryan. Hey, you want to come up? Ready?
Brian, you want to say my...
It's just a matter of time to like quote Sullivan's Travels.
This is the memorization talent show portion.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
The episode. No, so it's about this Hollywood producer who wants to connect with the common man, and so basically he renounces all of his riches and he goes and like he's basically like a train hobo.
Okay.
Like he's jumping from train car to train car kind of thing. But he's in reality. He is this aristocrat, this guy who doesn't have like real world skills or anything, but he wants to make the next picture. Oh, of course, it's called a pic. Like back then, it's like I'm into pictures.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he wants to make a picture that's about the common man.
Right.
He needs to kind of lower himself so he can write a real film. And the film that
immerse himself in the life of like a common person. Yeah.
Exactly. The film that he's writing, the screenplay is called "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
What? Get out of here.
That's a Coen Brothers. Just like it's a nudge to this film.
That's really funny.
And even the jumping on train cars and everything like that.
Are the Coen Brother films though? Like every single one is just
fantastic.
Mind blowing. You know what was the one? A Simple Man.
They don't miss.
A Simple Man.
A Simple Man. That's kind of a sleeper.
It is. And I saw it at the Lyric, the old one, right? And there was 5 people in there. This has never happened in the thousands of movies I paid to see, right? Mm-hmm. We all saw it. We all walked out on the mountain, and we all just lingered. And we're like kind of looking around, and everyone was like, did you get it? And everyone's like, I don't think I did. I didn't get it. Like, I had to go home because I don't know a lot about Judaism either. So there was a lot of shit going on that I had no idea what they were talking about.
They go deep into it.
Yeah, I just went because at that time, when that was being filmed, there was a regular
pot-smoking son who's just he's just blasted out of his mind
all the time. Yeah,
and he's getting that the Yiddish, and he's trying to learn this.
God, it's so weird.
Oh my God,
but it's so even like the Fargo TV show.
On
FX. I watched the second season first, and then the first season. Doesn't matter.
How cool is it that these I guess new generation filmmakers who are working on that show get to do their homage to a Coen Brothers energy? Yeah. It's like, okay, Coen Brothers. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're executive producers, or producers on it.
Yep.
They don't direct a single episode.
I don't think so. No, it's based on characters from Fargo.
The people they got to shoot those, to actually direct those episodes, and direct those episodes.
They killed it.
It's incredible. It really captures the essence of how strange and quirky and funny the Coen Brothers
and I can't
storytelling is, the universe they create.
I can't think of another director, I mean they're brothers, but they basically co-direct, that represents good and evil so well in every single film. Every single one they do, there's so much good and evil, like it blows my mind. Like they don't, like really evil, like Fargo, like those guys are Steve Buscemi and
bad.
They're evil is. Yeah, like you're so scared of them. Like it's crazy.
I want Pancake's house.
Yeah, we had pancakes this morning. Come on, man. Let's get a steak. Maybe some ladies.
Steak and a beer, man.
Yeah, it's
pancakes.
Pancakes. They're the S Tower. Tallest building west of the Mississippi.
Well, and that's how they kind of diffuse the fact that these guys are pure evil.
Yeah.
Is like, will they have random conversations?
Yeah.
About
normal
things?
Yeah, I guess, but.
Well, that other guy who's such a great character actor.
He's Dutch, I think.
The Dutch actor? Yeah. Who's been in...
He's in Armageddon.
My
name is Lev. Touch nothing. I told you, touch nothing.
That's right. He's on the International Space Station.
Yeah, speaking of like only having limited options, I lived in Florida for like 7 winters, right? And the first year I moved down with my buddy Bryan.
Yeah.
And he immediately met this girl and was always staying at her house. I had an old, disgusting Marriott love seat. It was the only furniture in the whole apartment, right? A TV and a VCR, right? And he had 3 movies. And it was Armageddon, A Few Good Men, awesome, Negotiator. Awesome. I still have never seen The Negotiator all the way through. But if anybody asked me to ever quote something from Armageddon, I'm like, that movie. Because I come home and it's like, we didn't have cable.
Yeah.
There was no option. Like, you just put something in to fall asleep. But you're like 23. Like, you don't fall asleep that deep. It's not like now where you get up in age. You're like, I'm just going to watch a little 30. You know, you're out. Yeah. But I've watched Armageddon and A Few Good Men so many times. But yeah, my name is Lev. I am Lev from Space Station. I'm Russian. Yeah, he's so good.
And he's Uli from Big Lebowski.
Yep. Yeah. They're nihilists, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, must be exhausting.
I'm going to try a little whisper of this one.
Do it. All right. Yeah, Four Roses is good. Yeah, that actor, he actually has a cool small part in Minority Report.
Oh,
do you remember that? Where he's
Tom
the surgeon?
Cruise?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
For real?
No.
Man.
No, for no other reason than I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
Because, like a lot of people, it seems like Tom Cruise and Will Ferrell are the 2 actors who are like, I don't like him. I don't like them. It's like, totally. Well, you've never seen Stiller. Magnolia Report. You've never seen... Yeah, Ben Stiller. That guy is a genius, I think.
That's hilarious. You just said Magnolia Report.
Yeah, I was thinking Minority. Yeah, Magnolia.
I love the mashup of those 2 movies.
Can you imagine?
That's hilarious.
Remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's like, suck my big fat fucking sausage.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he is so out there in Magnolia.
But when Jason Robards dies and he has like that moment where you realize, like, I was like, you can't tell me Tom Cruise is not a good actor. You can't.
You can't.
Cannot. I mean, I like Far and Away.
Yeah, he's a nut job. He's a Scientology nut job, and he's jumping on couches and stuff.
That's the thing.
He's so fucking good, and that's why he's so good.
Yeah.
Is because of how intense he can be.
Yeah. So it's like when you tell
he's telling
somebody
his dying father he hates him.
Yeah.
And like.
It breaks my heart.
But then he loves it. But then he's like, I love you. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, that is.
But when you talk to somebody and they're like, I'll be like, I watched this movie, but I'm like, I don't like him. I'm like, listen, whoops, or like, screw Ted Nugent, whatever. I was like, I could be in an elevator with like Sean Penn and Ted Nugent, like the farthest apart politically or interesting, whatever. I don't want to talk to either one of them. It has nothing to do with if I think they're talented or not. Like art should not, it shouldn't be like. Personality should not persevere over art. Like I love Sean Penn movies. I just watched A Thin Red Line the other day.
Oh my God!
The first time I saw that movie, I hated it so much. I hated it. I didn't know who was talking. I didn't.
The narration.
Yeah, there's
like,
so much shit
what
going
is this?
on.
It's so ethereal. I don't know what's happening.
Man, it is so good. Nick Nolte, surprisingly, is just so crazy and intense with Isai Costas or whatever his name is. Elias Costas. He plays like the guy who won't charge up.
Oh yeah, the guy who
blows his ass off. He was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
He was. That's what I was trying to think.
I already know where you're going.
What character was it? Casey
Jones.
Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Casey Jones. I was like,
He was also in Some Kind of Wonderful.
He
was like the guy in detention. He's like, hey, he's like a young De Niro.
Wow.
And he shows up at the party.
Yeah.
And all the like goons that he meets in detention. He does the whole like. It's a straight De Niro ripoff, but it's hilarious.
Well, that's so fascinating in Thin Red Line to watch the chain of command where you're watching Travolta is Nolte's commanding officer,
and he's been passed over. So,
and you're listening
he's like,
to
fuck it, we're going. I don't care what it takes. We're taking this hill, Yeah.
And he's like, how many are you willing to lose?
Yeah.
10?
That was Terrence Mann, right? Who did that?
What's that?
Was it Malik or was it Mann? It was Malik.
Yeah.
Yep, that was his first film in 20 years or something, right?
Yeah. And that's his pattern is I'll do a film every 12 to 20 years.
And that was also the same year that Saving Private Ryan came out.
Yeah.
Which I saw in a theater in Roseville, Minnesota with a couple friends. I remember we left and there was a guy in the back seat standing with a walker. And he was just you could see how, and I'm just I have no frame of reference for this. I feel so bad because that movie I'd never seen a movie like that. The first 20 minutes, the guy trying to put his guts in. And, you're just
holding his,
oh my God. Shit. You're used to John Wayne, you're I got, stuff like that.
I'm not going to make it.
That movie.
No, you're screaming out for your mother.
Yeah. It's like a video game, the controller's shaking, and you're, it's just sensory overload. And I was blown away, but I still think Thin Red Line's a better movie now. Not at the time.
I do
now
too.
I do.
Oh my God.
Way better,
Dude,
yeah.
I wrote a paper on Saving Private Ryan in college, in film school, because I thought it was so impressive, and I didn't understand Thin Red Line at the time. I still find Saving Private Ryan absolutely incredible.
Great
as an
movie.
Experience.
More dramatic though, more
it's more
soap opera
accessible.
story. Yeah,
it's more accessible because it's almost like you're watching a film crew, an incredibly capable film crew is following along a real campaign or a real it felt almost it's basically
like a documentary.
Spielberg made a documentary about what it was like to invade France.
Yeah.
And what Malik did.
This was pre-Band of Brothers, stuff like that too, which I don't know about you, but I was
into that.
When that came out.
I loved Band of Brothers and then the Pacific.
Yes. I didn't love the Pacific as much.
Yeah.
But I just think the European theater was more interesting for some reason.
Yeah.
I've always...
Well, I thought it was interesting. Who's the guy who ended up playing Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody? What's that young man's name? Rami Malek. Yeah. He was in the Pacific.
He was. Yep.
Yeah, and that was the first time I'd ever seen him.
Yeah.
He was sick.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that just has a weird look to him too, though, where you just he looks crazy.
He does.
Steve Buscemi used to be. Everybody used to talk about him he had the weird tooth and
totally.
He's a very memorable what was the HBO show he was on which I watched every episode.
Robot?
Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry,
if you would have told me that he played a gangster, Nucky, whatever, before this came out, I was like, what? And you watch it, and you're like, God, he's terrifying, man.
Yeah,
he's so terrifying in this show, Mm-hmm. But yeah, Rami Malek is, and he, by the way, Bohemian Rhapsody, which I also have just watched in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
when I saw that in the theater in the beginning, and he's walking up to go to Live Aid, and he's the way he walks. I was like, he had me hooked that he was Freddie Mercury from behind before he sang. Because Freddie Mercury had that weird strut. Everything he did was
it's theatric and dramatic,
but such a talent,
exaggerated,
crazy talent. And man, that movie made me go watch Rocket Man, which was not good. I didn't think at all. It was average at best. It was more of a musical, which you would hate. So.
Okay.
But not a good one like Blues Brothers. Have you ever seen Team America World Police?
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's a musical.
Does that have music?
You know how I know? Because halfway through it, I leaned over to my buddy Al that I talked to, and I go, is this a musical? And he laughed hysterically. It was 4 songs in.
Well, they're making fun of Rent.
America, fuck yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's it was nominated for Blame Canada. Was nominated for an Academy Award.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think I realized that. But it's been a hot second.
Sleeper Academy Awards in the history. I was so actually that buddy of mine. I was telling him. I said I finally think Karate Kid is my favorite movie of all time. Not saying it's the best movie. I would never vote it.
Sure.
But watching it makes me the happiest. And he's like, what about Indiana Jones? I was like, well, Karate Kid is nominated for an Academy Award because Pat Morita was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And then I looked at Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or he says, Raiders of the Lost Ark is better. I'm like, well, of course it is. But it also had like all these Academy Awards that I didn't know about. But I was like, there's something about, and especially as I get older, I even appreciate, like I loved it forever. For 37 years, I've loved that film. But as I get older, I even like it more and more. You know, like it makes me, I appreciate it more and more for some reason. I don't know what it is. If it's like that like father-son thing or like mentor, you know, like.
Oh, wait, Last Crusade?
No, Karate Kid.
Oh, okay. Like, I'm sorry. When you said father-son, I was thinking. No, when
he's sitting in the car and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Miyagi."
I got you.
He's the best friend I ever had, you know. And he's like, "Miyagi, think you're pretty okay too." You know, you're like, and the Bill Conti scene and the music, and it's just, I don't know why it's so corny, but I love that movie so much, you know, like and it's a weird, it's like that. Having like an older figure that you think of everybody that ever helped you, you know what I mean, and you think of Pat Morita, which is weird, but but I just who
didn't really have that accent, like that
guy. No, not at all.
That guy
he was the hip nip. That was
that
how
guy was like a killer in comedy and had zero accent.
Yeah, what was it in Happy Days? He was Arnold. You know, like an Asian guy named Arnold. You know, but he described himself as the hip nip.
Yeah,
which is totally racist now.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I was working with Harrison Ford, and what we were doing was we were honoring, and I actually think somebody dropped out. We were supposed to honor a different celebrity, and we were like, who's available?
Who dropped out that Harrison Ford filled into? Like
Jesus Christ, right?
It must be
Laurence Olivier.
Probably was Jesus Christ.
No, it was Jesus Christ himself.
I can't make it. I'm hung up.
It was Jim Caviezel himself. And so what it was like, this was at the San Francisco International, and he flew in, and what we were doing was honoring him for what he had done in basically The Fugitive. So, we got biscuits.
Right.
Thank you. All right. Hey, we're about to close out.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. It's
as
about
far
time.
as you know.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Thank you, babe. So we were honoring Harrison Ford, and then the film we were going to show was The Fugitive. So we would basically, we're working the green room. It's prior to the screening, and
so this was like not when Fugitive came out. It wasn't.
No,
like
this is years and years later. It's before he did the Blade Runner reboot kind of thing.
So good.
Which is fantastic. Love that.
So good.
And so what the moderator was going to do is, like, Harrison Ford was going to come out and they have a conversation about making The Fugitive, and then they have a conversation. They play the film, and then he goes on to whatever next event he has. And so I'm working in the green room, and we have limited security in this theater, and there are women.
You mean you?
Well, there's actual security. Like, I'm hospitality.
You're like, does anybody want a roundhouse kick from a guy wearing these shorts?
I didn't think
so.
I
didn't think so. Yeah.
You think I'm ashamed going home to Starla every night?
Only it's a picture of Vanessa.
And so there really was security, and there are women like my mom's age who are trying to like bum rush the stage.
That's sad, isn't it?
It was disturbing for sure. Like, well, for one thing, watching like a 20-something man who's like some big guy having to hold back like a granny, a mom, and she's like, and I'm trying to like assess the situation. Yeah, and I'm right outside the green room door, and then there are some drapes, and then women are like flying through the drapes, and guys are like carrying them out and putting them back in, or having to take them out the exit. It was crazy that Harrison Ford still has this kind of fanfare. And I just remember one woman yelling, "I just want to touch him! I just want to touch him!"
God, that's
and I was like, "Well, that's That's not cool. He's
Yeah.
not okay with that. He opens the door, so right at my back, and he like puts his hand on my shoulder, and then is whispering in my ear.
Oh my god!
And so
erotic.
So I look over, and Harrison Ford's face is right here.
Oh, I'm so jealous right now.
Han Jones is right there.
And he looked at you and he said, "Let's make the jump to light speed."
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to play it.
He's like, "Hey, are we anywhere close to a bathroom right now?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ford, we are not." And he's like, "It's okay. I can hold it."
No way.
Yeah, and he went back in, and so that was we got more interaction later on in the weekend, but that was the first kind of thing we said to each other, and then he went out on stage, and it was great, and he gave this interview, and they talked about honestly,
I'm so
the moderator
jealous right now.
The moderator shit the bed.
Han Solo grabbed you.
It was incredible. It was incredible. It's the most starstruck moment.
Yeah,
it chills up my spine. I was just like, I can't believe your face is this close to mine. This is insane.
You were like. Sorry, never mind. This guy out here, he tried to kiss me. That's just Mike. It's fine.
So the moderator shit the bed in that all he wanted to do was talk about. So you're getting a little too old for these leading man roles. You got Harry in front of you, and this is what you're going to tell him. And I think Harrison was doing.
I'm sure he's heard it all, but
he was doing his best to be like. I want to keep up with the young guys or whatever. And then, anyways, so they get to the end of the interview, and they're talking about the film that they're about to see in The Fugitive. And he's like, well, without giving any spoilers, is there anything you wanted the audience to know about the film that they're about to see? And Harrison takes a beat. And he thinks about it, and he goes, I didn't kill my wife. And he's
That's
like,
awesome.
and then he goes, I'm sorry, that was a spoiler.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was
such
fantastic.
a good movie.
Yeah.
I drove by that, the dam that he jumps off of.
Yeah.
It's by Deal's Gap, which is a really big motorcycle mecca. And I drove 4 or 5 hours out of my way up through Georgia, and it's between, I think, South Carolina and Tennessee. And they have a moto lounge, they call it, which is the most basic motel I've ever stayed in, I think. It's just cinder blocks and bunk beds,
Yeah.
But it's this road, and it's 13 miles, and it's 344 turns or something like that. But anyway, the day I got there, I drove by that bridge or the dam, and I was like, God, that thing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, it wasn't just in The Fugitive, but there's another movie called Two-Lane Blacktop.
Okay.
Which is with James Taylor, Carolina in my mind.
No way.
And Dennis Wilson.
Sweet Baby James?
And
James Taylor?
Yeah, and Dennis Wilson, the Beach Boy, right? The drummer.
Yeah.
And they play their names in the movie are Mechanic and Driver, right? And Warren Oates is in it.
Lovely.
I
love Warren Oates.
Yeah, he's awesome.
From
Dillinger.
Wild Bunch.
Stripes. Anyway.
Stripes,
and it was on VH1 used to have a show called Rock and Roll.
I got a hell of a sense of humor.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
He's so good in this movie.
Cool.
And Harry Dean Stanton is in it for about 40 seconds.
Awesome.
So Warren Oates is this blowhard. He's got this super car that he's kind of wants to be like James Taylor and Dennis Wilson because they're racing this 55 Chevy. And at one point, the camera's in the back of this car, and he sees a hitchhiker, and it's Harry Dean Stanton. And he pulls over, and Harry, he gets in. He's like, hey, it's raining out, whatever. He's like, yeah, it is. And then you just see Harry Dean Stanton grab his leg, and you see the car pull over. He's like, it's not that kind of ride. And Harry Dean Stanton gets out. And that's his whole scene. It's awesome. And he also made a movie called Cockfighter with Warren Oates about professional cockfighting, right? So Gary, my buddy Gary that I work with at the Mish, it was filmed on his grandparents' property. So he lent me the movie, and he's like, yeah, that's my Grandpa Ank. He's got a line in it where he goes, I'll put 25 on the black. It's this
incredible.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, this is the kitchen, my grandma, blah, blah, blah. But it's also a really great movie. It's so good. It's the same guy that did Two-Lane Blacktop. I don't know what else he made.
Okay.
But both the two movies I've seen are two of my favorites. Yeah.
I gotta look those up.
Yeah,
How did you see
I think
them?
I have. He has a copy of Cockfighter that he lent me.
VHS or
DVD?
DVD?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think I have it, and if I do, I'll bring it over. because it's really good. And Warnos, in the beginning, his cock loses, and he decides to take an oath of silence till it wins again. And I think Harry Dean Stanton is like the antagonist of the movie, who he's trying to beat. He's like the cockfighter. It sounds stupid as hell, but it's so good. I know,
dude. I want to see this.
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna go when I go home. I'll text you if I have it or not. But I know I had it at one point.
Yeah,
so
I'll send you off with Reservoir Dogs, the anniversary edition.
All right,
and then
now I know where you live.
I'd
so
love to see this.
I can just drop it off.
Yeah,
I won't be people won't be calling the police because I keep circling the block. Yeah.
Man, you are Bryan. You're one of the funniest guys I've ever known.
Yeah.
Most fun to talk about movies with, and talking about movies is one of my favorite things. That makes you one of my favorite people.
Well, yeah, and you're one of my favorite people for the same reason. So,
Bryan Thomsen, thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
let's do it again.
I will.
I'd like to again soon.
Anytime.
All right.
You should get me and Jesse here sometime.
I need to get a third microphone. Yeah. We need to widen this shot.
I know a guy who's got a microphone.
I'd love for us to do this.
Yeah.
And it's Jesse Lee.
Yeah, and it's Jesse Lee.
I
totally.
Love it. Dude,
all right.
Let's do it again.
Great, buddy.
Cool.
All right.
This has been Hot Mike. We're out.